Okay, I think mine would work better, but whatever, it's fine.
That's all right. We'll try that next time.
What's up, boys?
Nothing. What should we talk about?
Well, if the first person to drop a comment on YouTube telling us what this is from gets a free beer with us. Or a case of beer.
Yeah.
No.
We'll buy
Fuck
him
that.
a
We're not
shot.
giving-
Or like one of the really tall beers, like a 24
We could
ounce
say
beer.
we're gonna give them a case of beer and then not give it to them.
Let's just send him 240s.
He called the shit poop.
What's it from?
What's it from?
Make a comment.
Mm-hmm. Let us know.
If there's anybody out there listening, make a comment.
Somebody's got to know.
There's like 40 or 50 people.
All right. What were we going to talk about again? The three pages that we need everybody to go follow right now.
Oh yeah. Okay. So yeah, we have a list of 3 Instagram accounts that are just absolute top-notch material. So
Yeah.
I think most of them are private.
Is one of them watching kids get hurt?
Yes.
Oh.
Kids getting hurt is one.
Kids
Yes.
getting hurt.
It's just videos of kids getting hurt. There's no secrets.
just
to
top
that.
heavy
just
toddlers.
introduced to it
Yeah,
for the first
right.
time.
Top heavy toddlers. The other one is snake _ pit, also known as snake pit. And they specialize in 2 things, which are really, really bad, poorly done tattoos and really, really good detailed sexual tattoos. It's a lot of detailed female genitalia and animated penises.
That's good.
It's pretty great.
I mean, if you're gonna get anything on your body permanently,
Might
why
as
not
well be
get some
that.
genitalia?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Oh my god, it's so nuts, dude.
Always wanted
Literally.
another.
Some of these people get giant back pieces of just like dicks and like lesbians fucking each other and like it's awesome.
Good. That's one way
And
to.
some of them are really well done. Like
Yeah.
I would get some of these dicks on myself because they're just really well done.
They're just
Like,
such cute dicks.
Like one guy did a it's like it's like cubes. Like the dick looks like it's made out of a crystal, but it's colored like American traditional art, which is like super bright and saturated, and it's actually just very well done. Even though,
good.
but it's little. It's like little penis.
That sounds good.
Maybe get a little one like right on like the between the back dimples.
Well, you know, like I always like as a kid, I
It's
was
like
like,
creeping up over the.
I'm never gonna know what it's
tramp
like.
ramp.
You feel like you're never gonna know what it's like to have a vagina or be a girl, and it's like, you know, this is one way you can permanently get a vagina on your body and see what it feels like. I mean, it'll be like on your armpit or something, like, you know, see how people
Yeah.
react.
Tickle me.
Well, that's like I can't remember the comedian there was a joke about, but why would you replace if you're like trans, why would you replace your dick with a vagina? You should just get a vagina like under your arm or like behind your knee or something and like use it there.
Best of both worlds.
Yeah, you
Imagine
can,
those sex positions. You'd have to like.
well, you
in,
could be
like,
more
bend
creative
the
with
knee
it for sure.
Hell yeah.
You can write your
Especially-
own Karma Sutra.
Imagine in like a threesome scenario.
millions.
I mean, it's like double the power in a
Yeah,
threesome.
you could give and receive at the same time.
Wow.
Wow, this is a baseball team's wet dream.
Breakthrough.
They
Are
don't
you
know
a
how
guy and you want to
pitch
know what
and
it's like to
catch.
have 3 holes?
I don't know how the wiring would happen underneath.
They'd have to surgically move around some stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
They'd have to get rid of some.
There's nothing important right
You
here,
don't
right?
need a kneecap.
They'd move that artery over there. Move that artery down here a little bit. Get it over. Get it out of the way. That's not
Jam it in
important.
right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? We should get this out of the way quick. Now that we've talked about dicks, we are going to be performing on Black Friday. This Black Friday,
Yep.
November.
If Garrett doesn't
27th.
have a broken wrist,
Yeah, I hurt myself last night or 2 nights ago.
yeah, because our
It's all right.
drummer,
We'll be okay.
our professional drummer, decided it'd be a good idea to skateboard a month before the show.
Right. First time in like 3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great idea.
What could go wrong?
Yeah. Right.
Smashing idea.
But it was really cool because, like, I'll explain that in a second. Because, like, just the setup, like, why I decided to skateboard was neat. The little area was cool.
Well, where were you?
But I don't want to talk about that yet because we should promote the show.
Oh, right.
It's going to be at Beer Kiss Brewing in Ludlow, Kentucky, which is right around the corner.
Little
From
Rivertown.
my place.
50 feet from right here.
Yeah.
River stand.
It's going to be great. You can buy tickets online. The link to the Eventbrite website is in our bio on Instagram.
Oh, good.
And we're
good to know.
plastering it all over social media in the meantime. So.
I didn't know that. Where else can I find out about it?
Birkus website.
website
Yeah.
or their
Oh,
Facebook page. There's an event on Facebook. Trauma, Illinois at Birkus Brewing Company.
Sweet.
So
Yeah.
hope we see you there.
You know,
Should be
we'll have a
fun.
doctor's note the whole way.
Mhm.
Yeah. God damn it.
Okay, so I went to go
Damn it,
meet.
Gary.
I went to go meet one of my buddies at a coffee shop,
Yes.
and
Was this
next
Alan?
door to the coffee shop, it was Alan.
So wait, so this is the story of how you broke your
yeah,
wrist.
how I fucked my wrist. Didn't break it. Pretty
Yes,
sure. Yeah,
well.
I can bend it. We're good.
It's easier to say that, you know.
Yeah,
You
right.
broke it.
Mhm.
Smashed it, destroyed it. Fucked it up.
Same difference.
So your buddy?
Yeah,
Coffee shop?
and we went to this coffee shop in Newport, and next door to it was a skate shop,
Mm-hmm.
and next door on the other side was a half pipe that the skate shop had set up.
Oh, cool.
And there were like these little kids messing around, and another one of my buddies that was there just had a skateboard on him,
Mhm.
so we were just fucking around on the half pipe.
Oh, you were on the half pipe.
We were on the half pipe, yeah. I mean, okay. Do you guys
I
know the
got my
difference
half
between a
pipe.
half pipe and a quarter pipe? Like, is it like the distance up vertical that makes it a half
I
pipe
thought the
versus a
half
quarter?
pipe was one that comes down
Yeah.
and back up.
It's a fourth of a pipe.
Right.
And that's
so
a
it's-
half of a pipe, right?
Oh, okay. Then this was probably a quarter pipe. It wasn't super
Quarter
big.
pipe
Yeah.
is just one.
A half pipe is big.
Right.
A half pipe
There's
goes
no
all the way
back
up.
There's not.
Like
Wouldn't it just be a quarter of the pipe both ways? If pipe's
No.
a circle.
no, the
The
quarter.
quarter-
I think the quarter pipe is just one,
Oh, okay.
and then the half would be another.
Oh,
quarter.
okay.
Yeah, but they also have like a smaller.
Sure, yeah. Okay, I
Yeah.
get what you're saying now.
Half pipe can also be used as it's like a term just meaning that it's like a full bowl. So
Yeah,
like like a true half pipe goes up halfway, like it would be half of a circle.
Mhm.
But like some half pipes are smaller and they're just not like, you know.
All the skaters out there, drop us the correct
Yeah, maybe
answer.
I'm wrong. I don't know.
Yeah,
Shit.
someone let us know what's the difference between a half
I
pipe
played a
and
lot of
quarter pipe.
skate it, like I think I should know.
Oh, dude, I played plenty of Skate 3,
so
but I
much
never
skating.
read anything on there.
Oh,
Just
okay.
do tricks.
Reading is the trick.
The
Yeah.
best there's ever been.
It was a little half pipe. Moral of the story.
Yeah. What's about? Do you guys read? Still or no?
I read like a couple weeks ago for
Yeah?
like a minute, and I was like, this.
I have to be pretty interested to read anymore. Like it's
Yeah.
usually like band books, like the Anthony Kiedis book, and I read Wolf of Wall Street, most of it. It was
Yeah.
really bad. He's not a good writer.
Yeah. Same
The
with, like
Jordan Belfort.
I can only read like if it's a gift, then I I know I'm gonna have to read it because I can't just have a gift book laying around that I haven't
Mhm.
read. It's like an OCD thing. But I just went out, like me and Belle were really bored and we were like, we gotta like let's buy some books and actually read them. You know, like we gotta find something to do together that's not like, you know, mind numbing. And reading books is really fun. So we went and bought these books and I just read it's a George R. R. Martin book and it's really intense sci-fi. It's fucking awesome.
Oh, is it the one you were telling me about in the kitchen the other
yeah,
day?
yeah, Tough Voyaging.
Tough voyaging.
And it's like
It's
set,
tough
like,
voyaging too.
It's like it's set like I don't know how many thousands of years in the future, probably like 4,000 years in the future when we have spaceships and stuff that can like go star by star. It's badass. He has dinosaurs and stuff.
Oh,
And he loves cats.
isn't the video game Ark like that? It's like set
Well, it's
in
funny.
space, but there are dinosaurs on the planet.
His ship is called the Ark.
Oh.
Yeah. That's like maybe
Oh.
it's based on that. I don't know.
Oh my god.
That's crazy. But
Well,
it's,
Ark came out. Oh, you mean Ark is based off of the book?
well, yeah, because Ark is his spaceship that he finds. Like he stumbles upon this group of people, and they're like trying to find. They like. There's this anthropologist that does all this research on this alien planet, and they keep having this plague like rain down on them, and they think it's a star. Like they believe it's like a planet or a star that keeps going around and like coming back and launching plagues on them. But these anthropologists figure out that it was actually an old ship that has like it's like a bioweapon ship that was designed by Earth like thousands of years before, and it's like the last one in the universe, and it can like rain bio death on people and like diseases and like new animals and shit, and every like 7 years it comes back, so like this population regrows itself and recovers, and then they fucking get destroyed by this plague like every cycle. And Havlin Tough, this autistic adventurer guy, ends up beating all these people because they like betray him and try to get a ship, and then he ends up taking the ship. And he has this fucking, it's like a 40-kilometer ship. Like, you know, it's like a planet on its own. It's like an asteroid, basically. And he has like genetic engineering capabilities. He goes around the universe genetically engineering planets and shit, and helping people. But also, he turns into like a terrifying god.
Sounds awfully like Elon Musk.
It's so dope.
If he could have his way.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I mean, but that's basically what we have to do to Mars. If we're going to go to Mars, we have to bring our shit over there. Mm-hmm. And then we're going to... Like, that's what NASA doesn't want you to think. They don't want you to think... Okay, I actually believe that they know there's life on Mars. Okay? This is like my theory.
Okay.
All right? It's a conspiracy theory, kind of.
Yeah.
But I think it's obvious that there's life on Mars. There should be life on Mars based on everything we know about life on Earth. There should be some trace of life, some bacterial life. There's still water on Mars. Like, there's all this crazy shit that tells us there should be life. And I think NASA knows that. And for the last 2 probing missions, they haven't sent any life-detecting things, even though that would seem like it would be really important to know whether there's life on Mars. We just launched a new one, a rover, to Mars, and it has nothing to detect life once again. It's weird. They're just like they're trying to cover something up. They have like 100 instruments on that thing, and they didn't put any carbon, they didn't do anything to like try and detect signs of life. It's crazy.
Huh.
And on the last one they didn't either. And the only one they did was the first one back in the 70s, and they actually found signs of life. And they said they were going to follow it up, and they never did. So I think they know that there's life, but they can't say that because they're sending people there. And if they send people there and potentially bring them back, then that means that they could have a quarantine situation. People would freak out. They wouldn't let it happen, because they think we're going to bring some alien disease back, which could happen.
Yeah,
you don't fucking know. You know, these things have survived potentially billions of years, you know, in a very harsh environment. We don't know how they would react to Earth. So, you know, so there's one thing with bringing them back, but then one thing else, exposing our astronauts to them, right? So I think, like, they know that's going to be, like, a problem, and they're trying to keep it out of the public eye for as long as possible.
I hope you're right.
You heard it here first, folks. But we're gonna have to bioengineer like a whole planet, basically, like, or at least sections of the planet, in order to live on it. We're gonna have to grow plants and shit. That's playing God in some ways. Like, a lot of people would say that's playing God. You know,
We play God in tons of ways.
We're already God of Earth.
Yeah.
Abortion is something that is the first thing that I think of when I think of us playing God.
I mean, I would go like genetic engineering.
Sure, yeah.
Abortion is.
I mean,
abortion
it's
is
not
just
like it's a hierarchy of playing God. It's just they're both.
Right. That probably was like the
They're
first
both
form
playing
of it
God.
that happened.
Yeah, the earliest.
But yeah, I mean, it's all the way back to the Spartans would kill their babies if they were considered weak or whatever, you know. And like that's definitely an ancient tradition, like getting rid of babies before they can even fight back. But also nowadays, if we had all those babies born, we would have a huge like food problem. Everyone would starve. So there is like the balance of that.
Isn't the population supposed to raise like 2 billion by 2020 in 5 years?
Well, in the span of our 6th grade years and now, it grew by 3 billion.
Oh my god.
Like fourth grade, I guess.
Wait, really?
Yeah, it was like 5 billion when we were in the 3rd grade or something.
And now it's 8,
and 8 billion.
Wait, wow.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Are we gonna be the last generation? Like,
It's quite possible.
Are our kids gonna die because of something? Because of overpopulation and whatnot?
In the book that I read,
Oh, God.
he encounters a planet with a extreme population problem. They have like 39 billion people on the planet, and they have to live in these high-rise. Everyone lives in these high-rises. Nobody sees any grass or anything. It's all city. It's all like economically laid out perfectly so that as many people can possibly live there as, you know, and they like maximize all their agricultural areas, and they like have to preserve as much land as they can to make as much food as they possibly can so their population doesn't collapse. And Having Tough gets there, and they're like, we have like 20 years before there's massive war and collapse and famine. Can you help
what
us,
do you
please?
do? Like,
Yeah, so he gives them more food, and then they reproduce faster, and then it becomes the same problem again, except they have even more people. So yeah, it's like and he tries to impose birth control on them.
oh yeah.
Because he's like, this is the only answer.
Right.
Because if you don't, you're going to have to go to war with these other planets to live on those planets, and that's going to kill billions of people, you know, and you're going to wipe out everybody. And that's not an option. We can't have that. So this is your last chance. You have to do birth control, and nobody wants to do birth control because they think it's murder, and they're like pro-life, and they're like their main political faction like thinks that we need as many humans as possible, like always, to be like the greatest, like to basically become gods. And they think like the human mind is the most important mind, so we need as many as possible. And they don't like understand population dynamics, and that people like can't do that or we'll all die and suffer. Like we have to maintain a certain population level.
It's a dance we play with nature.
Yeah, I mean, China, they didn't do abortion. They just like said you can't fucking have kids. Sorry. Well, which is worse? Like, I don't know.
Well, people started doing it anyway, though. And what was the thing? Did they have to like put them up for adoption, or did they like jail the parents? I know some sort of recourse happened when when people got accidentally pregnant in China.
They were fined, I believe. One child, they're fined more, they're taxed more. I don't think most of them were violent punishments or anything. Maybe if you had a third kid, you went to jail for a certain amount of time, and they were put up for adoption by someone who didn't have a kid or couldn't have a kid.
Yeah.
You know, I think they tried to handle it as like humanely as possible, because they knew that it would be horrific if they tried to enforce something
killing
like
babies or jailing families and shit.
Well, because but I mean, it's like it was a problem, like, and it's just they've just delayed the problem now. I mean, you know. By giving people birth control and by giving people abortion, then you're just providing more tools for people potentially to limit the population growth, which, you know, we have a food problem in this country. I mean, enough kids starve, and it's not because we have a food shortage, just because of our economic system is a little bit weird and doesn't provide food for people that are poor. But there's like a certain number of starving children in America every year still. You know, even though you walk into a grocery store and it's just like aisles and aisles.
I mean, but welfare exists, so what's the problem? Like, what's happening that they can't get welfare?
Exactly,
or some kind of thing.
That they have lives that the system does not account for.
Oh.
And you know, their parents have 10 kids, you know, and like welfare's not enough. Sorry, well, you're gonna have to go hungry, you know. Like, yeah, there's foundations.
How did they end up with 10 kids though? And
exactly.
Not enough money to support them.
Because they didn't want to abort their kid. They didn't want to they didn't want to do birth control. You know, they didn't want to use the methods that we have as a right for people to use to limit the amount of kids they have.
Hey, before we plunge,
and because they have personal beliefs and stuff that you can't control. Yeah. But at least, you know, with, you know, birth control and stuff like that, it's an option. But yeah, eventually it might get to the point, in hundreds of years from now, it might get to the point where we have to enforce birth control or enforce some kind of limiting, you know, factor for how many kids you can have.
Why don't the Chinese just move east? Is there like a
What do you mean? There's the ocean.
Oh, west. Sorry. Why don't they move west?
Oh, well, that's
like because like half the country has almost no people in it, and like all of them are gathered.
It's because those areas are usually
west,
pretty
east
harsh,
coast.
like desert, mountainous areas.
Well, that's up to the north. Like the Gobi Desert is sort of the north. It's like right above the wall on the north part where all the cities are, and then there's like this huge plot of land before you get to. What is that, like the Stan countries? Or is that Ukraine over there?
Well, but if you spread your people out more, then it's actually harder to get food to them, transport, economy.
I guess we have planes and trucks and
yeah, but it's more expensive and it's less viable, right?
Come on, they can afford it.
But it's also a factor. It's also a factor of the culture. There is like 6,000, 8,000 years old.
Nah, that's true.
And so the cities there, you know, like a lot of people have been there for 100 generations or 50 generations of their, I don't know exactly, but, or even if you're just there for 3 generations or 4 generations and your family's been there, what are you going to do? Tell them all to leave and, get a mass migration? Like that's just, it's not viable in the real world, like from a pure logical standpoint, it makes sense. But like if you try to apply it to real life, it's like harder to get like a billion people to change where they live, or like 500 million people to change where they live.
There's just so many people, like there's over 1 billion people there. Like, why haven't some of them thought, hey, what are we doing here? Fuck this, let's move west, like.
I'm sure they have.
I don't get it. Like, I think it'd be like, I don't know, at least 50 million or something of the billion, like would go, hey, I want land, like.
But then they have to organize. and then they had to
Yeah,
create
I
a
guess,
whole,
but
you know.
I assume it would be something natural, you know, like one person says, okay, let's go, and then enough, you know, they bring their buddies and their close friends, and then those, you know, it spreads from there.
That's
until
true.
you get to 50 million.
But there is also, like, the reason that cities are in the places that they are usually is because there's a strategic advantage to them
especially
being
in
there.
China.
Trade, you know, is a big thing, and also resources. Where are all the resources? You know, if you go move people where there's no resources, then how are you gonna have an economy? You know, like with factories, and you know, you're gonna have to ship all the raw materials, and you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
like you have to have
it.
an abundance of resources of different kinds to have a sustainable population. I mean, each city there's like 20 million people at least. You know, like there's like 4 cities with 20 million people in it in China. Like that's super. You need a lot of resources and specific kinds of resources to be able to maintain that kind of population.
There's like 6 LAs.
Yeah,
in China.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah, it's a
gives me
different
fucking
animal.
headache to think about.
It's a different animal to
people,
manage that kind of, because like if it was just like the country of Germany in that large of an area and it was like 20 million, you know, in the whole country there was 60 million people, then it would be a lot easier to do stuff like that. Probably. I mean, I'm sure that there's a reason why they have it, you know. There usually is. But yeah, I don't know.
Curious. Overpopulation is just, it's crazy. It's a wild, interesting thing.
Well, because
to
it's
ponder
just,
about.
it's a problem that never goes away, and you just delay it with technology as long as you can, and then eventually we have to move planets. I mean, or I'll die with massive famine, you know.
I'm going to Australia when shit hits the fan. There's no one there.
Yeah.
Fuck it.
What, you gotta wear sunscreen. There's no ozone there.
Yeah. Right.
You get skin cancer immediately.
Worth it. I'll take skin cancer over, like, I'll take the beautiful weather and skin cancer over
Starvation.
winter and starvation.
That's funny.
Seems like a good way to go.
What is?
The future.
Oh.
Well, not in like an angsty way, in like a very real human way.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, we're stacking up problems right now.
Yes,
Like, or like really since the 70s, we've been stacking up problems, like all the shit we haven't been doing correctly, and like it's starting to come back.
I know. Well, it's really a great book because that's what I like. That's what they touch on. It's like clearly a allegory for Earth, and because they have this group of people that's opposed to the exact. It's obviously an extreme version of what's here, but you have this group of people that's completely opposed to one version of how to control and like keep everybody safe. You know, like. Well, like one group of people thinks, oh, we're prosperous now. Why don't we just enjoy it while it lasts? While another group of people says, wait a minute, it's not going to last forever. How can we maximize the amount of time this is going to last so as many people as possible can benefit from it? You know, and yeah, that's like a huge fucking like dynamic that's going on in politics all the time. It's what people are fighting for a lot. Like, how can we protect each other and how can we protect our children's children and all that stuff? You know, that goes into everything. But unfortunately, people have a really short-sighted view most of the time, especially in America.
We don't live long enough.
Well, no, other societies have created things over the course of 1,000 years. I mean, like, the pyramids were made over, like, a period of, like, 400 years or something like that. Or some of them were, you know? And so it's possible for us to do it as a society. It's just the specific culture we live in is very anti-trust in the future and, like, let's worry about the future instead of, like, our immediate problems right now. Like, let's think of a long-term solution. Let's not worry about, like, fixing the problem while we're alive. Mm-hmm. Because some of these problems, it's impossible to fix while we're alive. Right. And we have to set up for the future and so that future generations actually can solve the problem. And, you know, like, that's the only way we'll have a chance as a species. But people are like, who gives a fuck about the species? I'm going to die anyway. Like, whatever. You know, it's like a cultural thing. Like, we don't think about ourselves as a collection of different people throughout different times. Like, you come from a long string of people, and the reason you are the way you are is because of those people and the way they lived, you know, and what they did to prepare themselves for the future.
To some extent.
Yeah, right. And, like, some of the best cultures on Earth have this long lineage of thinking of things long term. And I think, we could probably adapt that. It wouldn't be a big problem.
Wouldn't hurt, yeah.
Like,
that may help.
It would not kill us. For sure, it wouldn't kill us. And it wouldn't speed our demise up any. So why not try to think of things in the future? I mean, physicists.
But man, that iPhone 13.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
So I can't even keep
Who cares
track of
about
that
those
shit
dying
anymore.
children in the
Like-
sweat factories? I want my iPhone.
We got TikTok, man.
Yeah. Dude, like, I can't
my
believe.
God.
Okay, so when I got my iPhone 7 Plus 4 years ago, it was the best phone you could buy on the market. And now they're up to the iPhone 12.
Are they?
Yeah, like the 12. And they have 4 iterations of the 12.
Wow.
It's just like, it's so crazy how fast all this stuff goes. And I even recognize that I don't need a 12. Like, I have no reason to own an iPhone 12. It's so much processing power for what? Like, to scroll through Instagram and YouTube?
Yeah, and why are we going in the direction of let's make the iPhone better? Like, think about how much innovation it took. Think of how much innovation it took to create the iPhone. Like, we went from phones that could make calls and, like, text very rudimentary. Like, like they had a keyboard, like a laptop. And now we don't even have buttons on them in, like, a span of 10 years. Went from Blackberries to iPhones, like that, and that was like a huge thing. Like, people talked about making like touch screens for like decades before that, and nobody got even close. Nobody got even close. And then somebody perfects it because they, basically are really good at telling people what to do and what to work on and finding the best, smartest people and engineers, which is Jobs and Wozniak, and they created this, very rare, incredibly amazing company that makes this fucking miracle of a machine where you can scroll through things with your fingers and everything's displayed on a screen. And now we have it all in HD and 4K and everything. Like, why not move your engineers to like solve like world hunger, or like solve like how can we make water clean for everybody cheaply?
There's probably so
Like,
much at
what-
play there, though.
you know?
Like, you can't, because even if they did that, it's not like all the countries that have to
Yeah.
abide by it for it to work.
There's not a
will
commercial
abide by it,
benefit.
you know what I mean? Like, I imagine
Oh, they
countries
will.
in Africa that are sort of more concerned with themselves and like fixing their famine problems and their water problems are going to be like a little more resistant to things that might not seem like good in the short term but better in the long term.
Well, that
because they're worried about the
it could be
immediate
for-
threat of their people dying.
It could be true for like entire nations.
Yeah.
But I know that the only reason that most Africans now have clean drinking water is because of Western inventions that were created. Like there's a straw that purifies water instantly, and you can suck through it from a river infected with dysentery, and it gets rid of all of it. And
pretty
I mean,
sick.
it's
really
it's
cool.
disposable. Yeah, I mean, it was invented like 6 years ago or 7 years ago or something, maybe even more. But that like changed everything, and then that technology was adapted by individual villages. People from here would go over there, people from Europe and all that would go over there with better technology, introduce it to these tribes, and get them to understand how to use it and maintain it. And then, so that's what's been helping the most. And like, usually nations are for the betterment of their own people. It's just they can't afford. So it takes like people like not just creating the technology, but actually like figuring out a way to fund it and get, like when you donate little bits of money to Africa or whatever, those campaigns might be actually helping to pay for these like things that will better society. So yeah, I mean, it's not just enough to invent it, is what you're saying.
Yeah,
You can't like, if you just invent this one thing or solution to this one problem, it's not guaranteed that everyone's going to adopt it, because you have to have other funding to like get it out there. And like that's why Elon Musk, like what he did was so crazy, because he got just enough money to sell a product, and then he was able to turn a profit. But like, unless you can break through, I mean, he basically had to create something with nothing first, which is the hardest part. Like, that's what he'll say. Like, the hardest part was getting the Falcon 1 to work without blowing itself up. And once we did that, then you had, a guarantee of a certain amount of money, and then you can have economy. But like, if you have an entire nation of people in need, then they're not going to be able to give you like $100 million for manufacturing costs.
Right. Yeah.
but I don't even know what we're talking about anymore.
Fucking tricky. Yeah. Like
let's try to solve all the world's problems now.
Yeah. Once you start applying problems to the globe, it becomes like infinitely more difficult to figure out because there's just so many like egos and politics and all these various like figures at play.
Yeah.
Money.
What time are we running at?
I don't know.
That was like 30 minutes, I think.
30 minutes.
Well, we can keep going. I was just wondering
Thanks,
because it feels like we've been talking forever.
Yeah. We want to shift the conversation a little bit.
Well, absolutely.
I don't know. I'm in a dark place now.
I know, right? That's what I'm saying. I feel like this overwhelming sense of
really?
Of gloom,
dread, dude.
Yeah.
Well, I'm learning about relativity today.
Beer.
Oh yeah.
It's pretty cool because like you normally think like when I have a clock, like say I have a clock and you have a clock and we're in like two different places in the world, you'd think that like if we're standing still and we start the clock at the same time, like, you know, and like stopped it, that we would come up with the same time at the end. But as it turns out, because light is finite, like the speed of light is finite, then it basically means that time changes depending on how fast you're moving.
Oh, son of a bitch.
So if you're moving close to the speed of light, then time moves very slow, and it basically seems like it's not moving at all if you're traveling at the speed of light.
Yeah.
Because think about it. If you're like looking at a clock and you start moving away from it at the speed of light, then the time that the light from the clock takes to get to you suddenly becomes infinite. It never reaches you. So the time that the clock reads will always read the same if you're moving away from it at the speed of light. Because the light from the clock that shows you that time is moving doesn't come to you. So literally the physical time that you're experiencing is slower, like infinitely slower if you're traveling at the speed of light, right? If you're traveling like half the speed of light, then it's like half as fast. Like, you know, time travels literally like some factor less fast than it would on like a stationary place. And the only reason time seems the same for you and me and everyone else on Earth is because Earth is such a small planet compared to how fast light travels. 300 million meters per second, by the way, is how fast light travels.
That's pretty quick.
How many rotations around Earth is 300 million meters?
It's a good question. It's been calculated. I can't remember how many. It's like several thousand in 1 second. You know,
Jesus.
So it's like, you know, not imaginable.
Yeah, if you could circle the Earth several thousand times in 1 second. Yeah.
I thought it was less than that. I thought it was like 7 times.
Yeah, you think it is 300 million meters per second. It's pretty crazy.
I mean, wait, how many is
Hold
the
on,
Earth?
what is that in
I think I could do this.
kilometers? I should know how to do
300,000 kilometers a second.
That's okay. Well, I mean,
300,000 kilometers. I know, it's like, it's fathomable. It's not that long.
Well, I think 7 might not be far off. I think 7 is a lot closer than
Not
several thousand.
thousands.
Yeah.
Around the entire Earth?
Yeah, because, like, okay, the distance from here to California is like 2,500 miles.
Yeah.
And that in kilometers is like 10,000.
No, the circumference of the Earth is
Well, I don't know.
25,000 kilometers. I think,
what?
something like that. It's like 25,000 kilometers.
Is the circumference of the Earth?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, 300,000 kilometers per second divided by 25,000 kilometers. It's like, actually, it's 12 times.
Roughly.
We need young Jamie.
12 times in a second. No, it is. I mean, that's the right math anyway. If I have the circumference right, and I know I have the speed of light correct, but if if I have the circumference right, then it's about 12 times a second.
How many
Failing on
times
my
can you circle the Earth
gallery
at the
job.
speed of light?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like like light travels so fast that to us it seems instantaneous. So me moving at 2 miles an hour relative to you doesn't do anything compared to the speed of light. So it'll seem like I'm the same length, like I'm width, the same time, like the same as you, like the same as I was while I was stationary, basically. But if I start moving close to the speed of light and you look at me, then my actual physical body will start to get distorted, and it'll look different to you. It'll get reduced, actually, because the time it takes for the light from my body to reach you is longer now. So it's like,
Okay.
you understand?
Okay.
And distance is a function of time and like how fast you're moving, basically. So
Right.
it's, yeah.
What is it?
The speed of light in a vacuum is 186,000 miles per hour.
Miles per hour, but I was using meters.
Oh, I'm sorry, miles per second.
Yeah. 176,000
186,282 miles per second.
Yeah.
So you could go around the Earth 7.5 times in 1 second.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a lot.
7.5 times.
Far off from
Yeah.
several thousand.
That's pretty quick.
Yeah, still.
My bad.
Damn. Damn.
Nothing can move faster than the speed of light.
Yeah, and it's funny because when you zoom out and you look at how fast light
In
travels
theory.
in like the solar system,
You duck out real quick.
like if you imagine
I don't
like,
understand how ludicrous speed exists then.
a ludicrous speed. It's a little bit past speed of light, yeah.
Well, no, wasn't there one after speed of light and before ludicrous speed?
Oh,
It was like light speed.
yeah. Nut crushing. Insane. It was like insane or
in ridiculous speed.
Yeah, ridiculous speed. I think it might have been ridiculous.
I don't know. It's been too long since I've seen that movie.
I tried to watch it.
Ludicrous speed.
Yeah. Yeah, but if you imagine like a
Ship for ludicrous speed. Secure all animals in the zoo.
Are you an asshole? Sir, yes, sir. Who else is an asshole? Everyone stands up. Man, I'm surrounded by assholes on this ship. It's just so
Private asshole.
Private asshole reporting for duty, sir. Oh my god. Boop, boop, boop. When he sits in front of the machine, he starts making the noises. Okay, all right.
We got the sweeps. The creeps.
We got jams, sir. All right, all right. That's enough Spaceballs reference.
Raspberry.
Lone Star. God damn it. Okay, all right.
Spaceballs, the greatest comedy movie of all time.
By the way, that was not the quoted movie from the beginning, so you're shit out of luck. Hey.
But if you imagine it, actually, like when you look at the speed of light on a scale of a solar system, like if you look at a pulse of light moving out from the sun, it takes 8 minutes for that pulse of light to get to the Earth, and it's traveling at 300 million meters per second, and it still takes 8 minutes for the light to reach Earth just from the sun.
Oh, from the sun?
Just from the sun.
Sun's pretty far away.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's very far away.
the distances, but what I'm saying is even more so than the sun is far away from us. Light actually travels pretty slow. If you think about how long it takes for light to travel to the nearest star, it's 8 years. You know, that's the nearest star. Well, if you count like brown dwarfs, and it's like 4.5 years, right? But it's not like very fast in comparison to the rest of the universe. Like it's very slow. It's like creeping almost. And that's how fast time travels, because time is a function of light. Like if you don't have light, you have no reference for time. And actually your physical body also experiences time slower. So like if you travel at the speed of light, you could live to the end of the universe, you know.
I wonder what it feels like. I really want to go to a place where it stays daylight for like 24 hours, 48 hours straight. So that we can feel what it's like to, it's for light to move so slowly like that. I wonder how weird it would feel to like be at 3 a.m. and the sun is high in the sky, like.
What do you mean?
To sort of demonstrate that idea in a really micro level.
Like, why would living in a place where the sun's always shining do that?
Because the light remains static for a longer period of time than a place where light doesn't.
I don't get what you're saying.
I don't know. I mean, maybe like I'm not hitting the concept correctly. I just think it might feel sort of like that to be in a place where it stays bright for so long that you sort of lose your perception, like your developed perception of time.
Yeah, well,
because of the fact that it stays light for so long.
That's your perception of time.
Right.
That's like what you it seems like in your brain, because we have this night-day cycle, right? But what I'm talking about is the actual time that passes on your body. If you're moving close to the speed of light, time doesn't pass as quickly for you. So like your physical body, like if my twin was on Earth and I moved away from the Earth at 0.6 the speed of light or something, some percentage of the speed of light that's close to it, that twin will age slower or will age quicker. So to me, he'll age in like, he'll grow old and die in 30 years, where to me, I'll still be like only 2 years older than I was when I left Earth.
Okay.
So it physically changes. Like if you're actually just moving at all, like if I'm moving relative to you, then time travels differently for me, right? even at small speeds. It's just really small differences, right? On Earth, it's really, really tiny differences. But when you're traveling at really high speeds, like close to the speed of light or some percentage of the speed of light, then it's a measurable difference. Like time physically passes slower. It's not like your perception of time. It's like actual physical time, like the chemical changes in your body, everything. If I'm on Earth looking at you, it'll seem like time is passing way slower for you if you're traveling away from me at like really high speeds. You know what I'm saying? So like my twin, and if I went away at 0.6 speed of light and then came back, my twin would be older than me, like years older than me. You know?
What about like a more like measurable amount of time? Like what if you had like 2 clones and you put one in a car on an infinite road, driving 80, and it was, you know, it had
You can measure
food and water and everything to keep them alive for 80 years or whatever, just only in the car.
Well, one
Going,
experiment.
and then the other one is just stationary.
Yes.
Would the one that's stationary live less long,
Yes.
given the same
Yeah.
Really?
nutrients?
Yes. Really,
Even on
physically, even on Earth. It's true for every single person. It's just such a small, minute difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So
What-
what? He'll live like maybe 45 seconds longer.
Not
in
even
theory
that.
Or something?
Not even
less
that.
than that.
Like
yeah.
less than a second.
Okay.
A lot less than a
Gotcha.
second.
Okay. I
Right?
understand now. Yeah.
Because the speed of light is huge.
Yeah.
Right.
Right? So if you're traveling anywhere like 80 miles per hour, any range of like that's so small like that compared to the speed of light, then it's going to be whatever percentage of the speed of light that is applied to your life. So it's
Right.
a very, very small percentage. But
Still a difference.
actually a measurable difference that we discovered to prove this is true. This is Einstein's theory, and it wasn't actually, some aspects of this weren't proven true until like decades ago, or even like a decade ago. So they did a twin study. They had, the Kelly twins. They're NASA astronauts. They had one guy stay on Earth. He never went to space, and the other guy stayed. He was in space for a total of like 4 years, I think.
Damn.
And they measured. I mean, it was like on and off. He didn't like stay there, and they measured the differences in his body, and they measured. They physically measured the time dilation caused by him traveling, because in order to orbit the Earth, you have to travel like 8,000 meters per second. Which is significantly closer to the speed of light than any speed that we can go on Earth, right? So that is actually a measurable, like, amount of time with
Can
our.
they perceive that up there?
No,
They don't perceive.
you don't perceive.
quickness of.
To you, if you're stationary, if I'm standing next to you and we're both traveling the same speed, really close to the speed of light, to us it doesn't seem like anything's different, right? Because that's your frame of reference. Your frame of reference is going close to the speed of light. So to you and me, it still feels like time is passing the same. But we could be traveling for, like a few years, and if we were traveling at the speed of light, we would, if we were traveling at like 99% of the speed of light, we could travel for like a year, and it would be the end of the universe. And we stopped, it would be the end of the universe, because time all around us has been going much faster, right? But to us, it just seems like time's passing normally, So it's the same if you have a guy up in a spaceship orbiting the planet. He's not going to be able to detect any differences, what's going on. But because he's traveling fast enough for us to measure measure the percentage of speed of light that he's going, then we actually calculated that he's going to live like 2 seconds longer than, or he's technically like two minutes older than his brother down, or whatever. It's some amount of time. I don't remember exactly what it is, but they calculated it, and it was verified and true. So. Yeah, it's real. That's a real thing. It's pretty crazy.
I want to figure out how we get those loopholes in the universe.
Yeah.
So we go like.
Well, that's what the physicists are after. They're trying to figure out how to break break that speed limit. If we break the speed limit, we could potentially do some crazy shit, like bring in energy from a different universe that was it's next to ours. That's pretty cool.
The universe that our universe is contained in?
Well, it's not contained in, it's next to almost in a range of dimensions. So we've got some evidence that there's actually like this one physicist, I can't remember. It was some guy that was on Rogan. Penrose, I think. Yeah. Roger Penrose.
Sir Roger Penrose.
Well, he studied these weird remnants of like odd energy that nothing in our universe could account for in that area. So he studied the map of the entire universe, the cosmic microwave background, and that's like basically all the light from the Big Bang. And so that shows us what the entire universe looked like 300,000 years after the Big Bang. So by studying that, you get a picture of what the entire universe looked like at one point, which is really useful, you know. And so what he discovered was these like holes, and the only way the best way to explain them from him and his team came up with was that they were remnants of a previous universe that existed that overlapped ours. When ours expanded into space, we expanded into an area where there was a remnant of a previous universe, and like that's be pretty cool if we could like go in there and see what that's like.
Yeah.
Infinity.
This is
It always, yeah, man. If you just put a mic on me, man,
above my
this
head.
is what's gonna happen. I took over everything. I'm sorry.
So, there was a universe before ours here?
He thinks we don't know that for sure.
That'd be pretty cool.
Okay, but it's a theory.
They think that that's the case.
Okay.
Maybe
They do, and
the
that's not
entire
like a
universe is
universal truth
just
that's
one
accepted
atom.
by. What did you say?
and something else much bigger. And it just keeps going and going
and going. Yeah,
and it's just forever.
Yep, it's one big waterfall of life and death, baby.
Do you think Michelob Ultra would sponsor us if we just kept drinking Michelob Ultra on the podcast?
Let's
one
pick a
day?
different beer and then we'll keep drinking that one.
Okay.
No offense, Michelob Ultra. It's good
You know,
beer.
my restaurant uses High Life to cook with.
Really?
That's
Yeah,
their beer cook.
Yeah.
Their beer batter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
That's
Yeah.
yeah, I could see
Does
that.
it
Yep.
cook the alcohol out? Isn't that a thing?
Yeah, it's just
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
flavoring.
Or like, would you just have to eat like 5 pounds of it to get drunk?
No, it
Oh,
wouldn't
okay.
get you drunk. Once you cook it, it evaporates. Because alcohol
Right,
evaporates.
because it evaporates way lower than water.
Yeah, at room temperature, you can watch it evaporate.
Yeah.
You could like sit over a course of an hour and like see the difference.
Really? Okay, because I lost the cap to a vodka bottle. So should it, in theory, and this was like weeks ago. So in theory, should it be lower?
If it's in a bottle, it's got that closed lid. And
Sort of, kind. It's got the little
Like filter lid.
yeah, like
But
it
it's a neck.
pours
It's
in
got a neck, though.
Yeah, it does have some.
Well, if you
sort
have
of-
a neck, then it changes the dynamics of the air inside. I actually did an experiment on this year. So if you have a neck, then the air inside the bottle won't actually change from its like equilibrium position. So like if you blow, the only thing that'll do, like at the top, is like push the air like this in the column, and it won't actually let air flow through. You have to have another hole in the bottom for air to flow through. Because it's a closed lid.
We learned that a while ago.
It's a closed bottle, so it's going to reduce the speed. So eventually, it will evaporate and leak out the top, but because the air in there is so still, because of the neck of the bottle, then it's going to evaporate much slower.
Gotcha.
So it takes
But
a
it will
long time.
evaporate.
Eventually, but it'll take a long time.
Okay.
Any liquid would take a long time in a bottle to evaporate. Well, not any liquid, because like liquid nitrogen would.
Yeah, right.
But like any liquid that stays liquid at room temperature for a certain amount of time, when you put it in a bottle, it's going to significantly increase the amount of time it's going to stay in there. But like if you open up the bottle or cut the top off, and it was just an open, like a cup or something, then yeah, you could definitely, you'll come back the next day, you'll see the difference. It'll evaporate that quickly for sure.
That's pretty neat.
Or you could just light it on fire and fucking blow everything up.
That's way more fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love gasoline fires.
Me and Brandon Powell.
Fucking awesome.
Fucking best.
Brandon Powell used to do that.
Chemistry
Do all
experiments.
sorts
Blow
of
shit
crazy
up.
shit.
Yeah, it's great.
I remember that.
Yeah. Good old Brandon. Wonder what he's up to. You out there, buddy?
Let us know.
I haven't seen him or talked to him in a really long time.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
know.
it's been since like junior year of high school.
What did he do? What did we do with his life?
I
He
think
moved to Chicago
Yeah, I think
to
he's
go to school.
pursuing acting. I think.
Acting.
Yeah.
I know it's I believe it's
Whoa.
some sort of artistic endeavor, but I don't
Yeah.
know exactly what.
I don't know exactly. We'll just have to run into him
Yeah.
again someday and find
Yeah.
out.
That's cool.
Yeah, if you're
Yeah.
watching, hit us up, dude.
he,
Let's catch up.
he always talked like a bit like he was writing a book, but he would just talk like that, He'd like try to use big words and big vocabulary and be very dramatic and like delivery and everything was important.
Well, if you keep doing it, like one day it'll make sense, right?
Yeah. Well, he was hilarious.
Keep
Like
using big words and whatnot. Like eventually you'll understand what they mean. and,
no,
like,
no. I think he knew what they meant.
All right.
I think
I
he
see
knew.
what you're saying.
Like he was naturally linguistically talented.
Yeah.
He would always write those stories. You remember?
No.
You don't?
No.
Oh. Well, we always
Sounds like the intro to a prog rock album.
yeah. He would like on a ride up.
Write a science fiction novel.
Yeah, and just make it a prog rock album.
Yeah.
Like we'd be riding up to a swim meet or something, and he would like write like a fucking like 100-page long story, or like a 20-page long short story or something, you know. And it was like about some magical unicorn that found some, you know, like pot of gold, and he's like trying to journey across the earth to get it to his wife or whatever. And but we would have like contests and see who would come up with the best story and stuff. And he would also say shit like he'd be fighting with somebody, and he'd be in the middle of like angrily like talking about something like, why would you vote for that guy? Blah 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 blah. And he'd be like, well, it's because you're a fucking idiot. That's why. And he'd be like, well, I'm gonna kiss you on the mouth.
Oh, yeah,
Say shit like that.
It's a good move.
Yeah. He was very creative with those like one line like game changer. Like and make everybody crack up in the room.
Wait, what?
Yeah, you know what I mean?
What
like
say you?
You know, like make everybody like, oh, that's what. You weren't actually asking me, wait, what?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Bingo. Yeah. Too literal. All right. Well, hey, shit. It's been like almost an hour. You want to start wrapping up, or
What time did we start?
I think one.
about one.
One.
Started about one.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
We can wrap it up.
Yesterday was Veterans Day. Happy Veterans Day,
Yeah,
everybody.
happy Veterans Day.
Yeah, thanks, homies. Appreciate. You know, there's like 500,000 veterans in the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a pretty big number.
Yeah, we have.
Still
We're
alive.
a warlike
Damn.
people.
Yeah.
We're a warlike people.
I mean, there's 300 million of us, but still, like, I was thinking something in the lane of like 30 to 50,000
Yeah.
people that were veterans and still alive. But damn,
Well, we had major wars
for 70 years.
Yeah, for a long time.
Straight,
so
yeah,
there's
right.
all those people are mostly still alive. I mean, a lot of them are still
a lot
alive.
of them are dead.
We're about on
I mean, if you
schedule
think
for
of, like,
another
World
one.
War II. 'cause,
No,
like,
I mean, I
after
was
World
thinking
War
of
II, the
Korean
major
on
wars.
like
Oh, okay.
Vietnam
Yeah,
and
yeah.
like the all the Afghanistan, like all the Iraq invasions, and
But
like
that didn't require a huge troop count, though. Like, nothing close to World War II or World War One, right? Or
yeah, but the
Vietnam?
actual invading force is smaller than the standing army. So
Okay, sure.
you know all the people that were in the army at the time are counted as. And so you have to have way more people in store than you do actually send to the battle.
Yeah,
right?
I got
So you have to have like 10 times or 20 times the amount of people that you're sending in, because you have to have reinforcements for potentially years. You know, you have to have people trained and ready to go. Most of those people luckily never see combat, but they're also veterans. You know, so like a lot more people had to train to go into the Pacific, or I mean into what am I thinking of, the Gulf Wars, you know, in the 90s, then actually went. And the same's true for Afghanistan now. And, I mean, Iraq, when we were at war with Iraq. So, like, you know, we would have 100,000 people standing, but only 3,000 would actually go in to see combat or whatever. Or so.
You know, the combat in the Middle East has been going on. Our involvement in the Middle East has been going on for so long that fathers and sons are now participating in the same countries.
Yeah.
Like a father will retire from the military and his son will go serve a tour in the same country that his dad served in.
Yeah.
Because we've been in there for so long.
You know what's crazy? Bell has this friend, well, ex-friend, that was like, he went off to the military. He was kind of an asshole, like, you know, like the type that like doesn't listen to.
He's his dad and.
Yeah, like anyone who's liberal and has like a liberal opinion, he'll just like completely dismiss and like not even listen to like reason like why somebody believes that. Like he'll just go, "Well, you're a fucking lefty idiot."
My favorite people.
And
Fucking liberal snowflakes.
yeah, right. Like even if it's like a totally reasonable point of view, you know, like about the military, for example. Like he never thought in a million years that the military would be a waste of money, or that like lots of people go over there and they're horrified and traumatized by it and they get no benefit from it. And they have to come back and live their lives, and it's horrible for them, and they don't, you know. He would have never imagined that, because you're raised to think that, you know, being in the military is this great, honorable thing, and blah, blah, blah. And it might be. I'm just saying, like...
I don't think that's the narrative anymore.
Well, he was. His family and his upbringing was, like, you need to go in the military, that's the best thing you need to do. You know what I mean?
I mean, there are a lot of great things that come out of the military.
Yeah.
Like, in terms of discipline.
Well, technology is one of them.
And all of the very... No, I don't mean like in a... I mean in a personal...
Yes.
personal perspective. It's like,
Yeah.
There's a lot of skills you can gain from
Yes.
joining the military.
Well, that's what he thought. So he went, and then he went to Afghanistan, and he saw his fellow soldiers taking drugs, drinking, having alcoholism problems a lot. It's very prevalent. Pretty much everybody drinks, all the soldiers, which, you know, pretty crazy if you think about that. Give them guns and they drink a lot.
I don't think they drink and shoot.
That's what he said. He was like, really? I was shocked. I came in and these people were insane murderers. Like, he saw people murder families, his friends that he went to boot camp with. He saw them murder families. He saw them steal drug money. He saw them, you know, killing, like forcing people to farm heroin, and, you know, on the orders of the U.S. government. I mean, it's not their fault, a lot of this stuff, but, you know, they're participating and they're drinking and killing people and, you know, like torturing people in some cases. Like, he saw all this shit. And he's like completely changed. Like, he comes back and he has this conversation with Bell. He's like, yeah, I'm not the same person I was. Like, I don't like war. I think we should pull out of there as soon as possible and leave these people alone. Like, I see why they want to kill us so badly.
Yeah, it makes sense when you really like, look at the big picture of like all the shit that we've done over there, and especially our use of drones. And so much shit. It's just
oil
and cell phone batteries.
Why do we need that?
There might
so
be
badly?
some honorable people that refuse, but I mean, you can't refuse orders. And if you're ordered to fucking kill people, you got to do it. And like, it's just a brutal, like he just said, it was brutal, and they would not, if you were emotionally weak at all, they would like literally beat the shit out of you and like try to kill you almost, and like you know, forced you to like be like them, you know. And I was like, yep, that's I mean, yeah, but that's probably what some, you know, because I mean, a lot of liberals are, you know, like the hippies were ex-Vietnam vets and stuff like that, like second generation of that second wave of hippies.
Oh yeah,
there was a lot of like in the 80s, like there was a lot of
like
Vietnam
people that
vets.
knew that was what was going on in Vietnam, and they came back and just wouldn't.
And there's a reason why, like. It's because when you're 18, you go over there and you have these like ideas of like grandeur, and you have no idea what the world's really like, and then you go there and like experience the most brutal fucking parts of the world, and like see what, you know, we have to, or what we have to do, or what our government says we have to do, and you're like, well, that's not what I wanted to do at all.
Yeah, right. I don't know shit about wars, and like I'm not super caught up with the reason why we got into all these wars, but to me it seems like the last war that we absolutely needed to fight was World War II.
Yeah.
Like, I think
a lot of
every
people
war
share that.
since then has not been super necessary for us to engage in, but we've done it anyway.
A lot of people share that
especially
opinion.
the Middle East.
Why did World War One start again?
I
know Franz Ferdinand, but why did everybody else get so involved?
So there was a very specific collection of allies. You should listen to the History Hyenas podcast.
Okay.
And that's like it's Chris Stefano and Giannis Papas.
Okay.
And they're comedians, but they like love history, and they have a really great one on both the world wars. Well, they have two on both the world wars. But basically, there was this like really complex relationship between the European countries, and there was really strong economic ties between certain countries like Germany and was it Bulgaria, or I can't remember.
The Austro-Hungary.
Yeah, Austro-Hungary Empire and all that stuff. So, anyway, you had like all of Europe basically allying together very suddenly, except for Germany and Austro-Hungary. And yeah, I mean, it'll take me an hour to explain the whole thing, but basically this one guy gets killed, and then Germany responds to it, and then since Germany was allies with this other country that was having trouble with one of the allies, then they had to go to war with them too, and then suddenly Germany started looking for more allies, and they collected like I can't remember who else was in the war. The Ottomans were part of the German alliance, and so pretty quickly they formed up. Basically, it was like order ideology governments versus freedom ideology governments.
Yeah.
And so all these freedom ideology governments like the U.S. and Britain and France and, you know, these places, they had these strong like ties, like ideological and economic ties with each other. And so as soon as they were enemies with the people who killed Franz Ferdinand, the Bulgarians, I think it was. It was like a Bulgarian group of assassins or something that tried to kill him. And So one of the Allied countries was enemies with them, and so when Germany declared war on them, then they also had to declare war on the rest of the European countries.
So it was like political sort of bullshit.
Exactly.
Because someone did this, then this
and if it
person
had happened like a year earlier or like a year later, it probably would not have resulted in the war. But it was like a very specific circumstances of governments coming together and committing to one another, and then suddenly something going very wrong with the countries involved in the commitment, and then people were stuck because we just signed these commitments. We're not going to go back on our word. And this was back in the day when people still thought of things like war was for like glory and it was for land, and like there was still something to be gained by going and invading another country and like getting more border control, because this was before like machine guns. But then the Germans invented machine guns and then changed everything. And technology got better. We invented trucks, we invented planes, and suddenly we had a threefold military, or fourfold: Army, Navy, Air Force, and armor. So we had tanks, for the first time. So all these new technologies came in, and we were using old tactics, and so that's why it's so
such a fucking destructive event.
Yeah,
it's probably the worst thing that's ever happened in human history.
Well, besides World War II, World War I.
I mean World War II.
Yeah. Well, World War II was even crazy because we had all these technologies that were great. And then the U.S. had just got it done with the Great Depression, and the 30s was like the most horrible fucking decade of our history. Talk to anyone who lived in the 30s, they were like, yeah, it wasn't good. It was bad the whole time for everybody. It was torture. It was just, people dying left and right.
World War I. Then we got jazz music, and that was kind of cool.
And then we got devastated by the Great Depression.
Killed in the Great Depression.
Yes.
And then
at the very end, America didn't come in until the very end of World War II.
Like 42, 43.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
41 maybe. I think maybe 41.
No.
Like end of 41, November of 41.
Maybe.
We might have done the first thing.
Yeah.
When
but
was
it started
D-Day?
in 36.
43.
It was 43.
Or was it 44? I think it was 43.
What?
D-Day.
I don't remember.
Young Jamie.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway,
D-Day.
Yeah. Sounds like ended on the most destructive
44.
war in human history.
June of 44.
44. Yep.
Yeah, there we go. It was the very end, Like, when we started going for full force in, there wasn't much the Germans could do because each side had completely exhausted themselves. Because we had all this technology left over from World War I. We had radio, we had planes, we had better planes now, but everyone was devastated economically. And so Germany started building this secret military and, like, training kids and, like, targeting kids. And that's the Hitler Youth and all that stuff, And, they went to war with all of Europe. This time it was mainly Germany, and then Japan joined in because they were like, we want more power too.
Italy was there for a little while.
Well, it was Germany and Italy. Like,
right.
Germany and Italy declared war.
Mussolini was like, this motherfucker's too crazy
Yeah,
for me.
right.
It's like, I know I like killing my own people, but fuck that guy.
Yeah, that guy's crazy. He's not going to win. So they literally thought they could take the whole world. They almost did. They almost beat everybody
got real close.
because the rest of Europe got fucked by Germany in World War I.
Isn't the theory that, like, if they had won Stalingrad, they likely would have taken over all of Europe?
Yes,
Yeah.
and then America eventually.
But they lost, so.
Yeah. But once America got their shit together economically, and they were like, we need to focus all of our energy, and, like, everybody in America started working in war factories.
Mm-hmm.
Like, everyone was like, well, gotta drop our jobs and make fucking bombs and shit and machine guns because we're all gonna die if we don't. Like, that was the stake. And so once America got involved, they were like, okay, we really need to fucking fix this shit.
Was it World War II when
And we had all that time while Europe was at war. We had all that time to recover and like build up our economy and build up our population even. And so yeah, that was like the key for us to be able to actually make a difference. Because if we had come in earlier, we would have exhausted ourselves too, and who knows what would have happened. So what did you say?
Was it World War II when women entered the assembly lines?
Yes.
And yeah, not World War I.
And that's what
and I believe black people also entered the assembly lines.
Right.
Black
people were a huge part of both wars.
Right.
And that's an overlooked part of history. That's a lot. Many people
I just learned about
overlook
that recently.
But yeah, it was minorities and women that suddenly stepped up and had to go and do the fighting at the home front, which is making all the shit and also making food and farming and sending all the food there, rations. But after that, it kind of created this culture of the 1950s where women could work, you know, because they proved themselves in a way to society. Like,
fuck yeah.
hey, like, look what we could do, women and minorities in some way. I mean, it was definitely improved by the 1950s, which is what led to the civil rights movement, because there were, you know, black people who were powerful enough, and, you know, they were able to, like, form communities and, like, have, you know, like, because, again, they proved themselves in World War II. They had all these hardworking individuals come back from the war, and they had all these great experiences, and, you know, all these newly skilled workers in the minorities and women groups. And so they were able to form, like, kind of their own, like, power groups.
Unions and
Yes,
like, organizations.
exactly.
Unofficial unions.
Unofficial,
Yeah,
right. Which is what led to the civil rights movement. Because by the time the civil rights movement was around, there were already tons of groups of black people that wanted change, and they were, you know, consolidating with each other, and you know, and that was the case with women too back in the 1890s. But yeah, that's another podcast.
Yeah.
Listen to History Hyenas.
Yeah.
They're
Hardcore
great.
History by Dan
Yeah,
Carlin.
yeah, and Dan
he
Carlin,
does World
too.
War II, and it's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's wrap it up.
Okay.
Like a great spot.
Yeah.
The movie was Billy Madison.
Oh, we were supposed to like talk about it.
No.
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 But if people got this far,
Oh,
we'll just let them know.
that's right. I remember the challenge.
This
now.
is
Seems like so long ago.
called the shit poop.
Called the shit poop.
Thank you all very much for tuning in today.
And he called the shit poop.
Poop.
All right.
Poop. Yeah.
Peace out.